Good morning, dear students. Today we will study chapter 13, Sound. So, in this chapter, we'll study about sound, how sound is produced, how sound propagates, what are the mediums required for the propagation of sound. And we'll study about the different types of musical instruments, and we will also study that how sound is produced by the human beings, how human ear works, and then lastly we'll study about the noise and music. So let's start the chapter. As in this chapter, we are going to study about sound. So what is sound? The sensation felt by our ears is sound. Sound is a form of energy. It is a form of energy which makes us hear. So how sound is produced? But before that, let me tell you that every day we hear a lot of types of sounds. For example, sounds produced by the various types of musical instruments like sitar, guitar, tabla, dholak, etc. It may be the sound of chirping of birds, it may be the sound of ringing of the mobile phone. So we hear a lot of sounds. So let's try to understand how sound is produced. Sound is produced by vibrating objects, or we can say sound is produced by the vibration of the objects. So what is the meaning of this vibrating object? When any object moves to and fro means backwards and forwards. So when any object moves to and fro repeatedly, we say that object is vibrating. So sound, it is produced by vibrating objects. Sometimes this vibrations of the object, it is large so that we can see it, but sometimes the vibrations, they are so small that we are not able to see them. We have to gently touch the vibrating object so as to feel the vibrations. So let me give you the example that how sound is produced by the vibrating objects. So just take a rubber band, stretch it between your two fingers. Okay, now pluck it from the middle. So you'll notice that it has started vibrating and sound is produced. I don't know whether you are able to hear it or not, because it is not a loud sound, it is a very feeble sound, means low sound. So sound is produced by the vibrating objects. Now we have understood that it is produced by the vibrating objects. So now the next question comes, how sound propagates, means how sound travels. How sound propagates, let's try to understand it. When we speak, then what happens? When any object, it is vibrating, it is producing sound. So when any object vibrates, so the air molecules in the surrounding of that object, they starts vibrating. So the air molecules just close to that vibrating object starts vibrating, and these vibrating molecules of air, they pass on their motion to the next layer of the air molecules. So this process keeps on going. This process goes on till the time all the air molecules in the surroundings of that vibrating object starts vibrating. And when these vibrating air molecules, when these just touches our eardrum, so when these vibrating air molecules, when they fall on our ears, so our ears feel that as sound. Our ears feel these vibrations as sound. So how sound propagates? So sound, it propagates due to the vibration of the air molecules. If air is the medium, in this case air is the medium here. Okay, so one very important thing here is sound needs a medium for propagation. So let's revise one more time. So how sound is produced? It is produced by vibrating objects. And just now we saw that how sound propagates just because of the vibration of the air molecules that are present in the surroundings of that vibrating objects. Okay, one very important thing here is sound needs a medium for propagation. Okay, what is the meaning of medium here? Medium means the substance through which sound travels. So it is very important to note that sound needs a medium for propagation. It may be any solid medium, it may be liquid, or it may be any gaseous medium. So sound needs a medium for the propagation. So if we compare the speed of sound in the different mediums, for example, take any solid medium. For example, let's say iron, or you can take steel. So it is 5,000 meters per second. If we talk about water, the speed of sound in water, it is 1500 meters per second. Speed of sound in air, it is 330 to 340 meters per second. So here you can clearly see that the speed of sound, it is maximum in solids and it is lower in the water, or you can say speed of sound, it is lower in the liquids as compared to speed of sound in the solids. And it is least, the speed of sound, it is least in air as compared to the speed of sound in the solids and liquids. Okay, so now after understanding this, that how sound is produced, what are the different mediums, and very important thing, the sound, it needs a medium for propagation. Okay, this is clear. Sound, it cannot travel through vacuum because it needs a medium for the propagation. So it is also known as mechanical wave because it needs a medium for propagation. Sound waves, they cannot travel through vacuum. Vacuum means devoid of matter. Vacuum, you can simply say empty space, even where there is no air. So vacuum means devoid of matter, such place that is devoid of matter. There is where there is no matter. So sound, it cannot travel through vacuum. If you will see your books, then in your book on page number B40, one activity has been given to show that sound requires a material medium for propagation. So here you can see that this is a glass jar inside which there is one bell. It has been connected through the wires. It has been connected to the circuit. So, and at the bottom you can see there is one vacuum pump so as to suck air from this. So what will happen when this bell, it will be connected in the circuit, and when air is present inside this glass jar. So when we will switch on the circuit, so what will happen? The bell, it will start ringing and we will be able to hear it. But the second case, let's suck out the air from the glass jar with the help of the vacuum pump. When all the air will be sucked out, when all the air, it will be taken out from the glass jar with the help of the vacuum pump. Now if we will just, in this case, now if we will just turn on the switch on the bell, then this time we will not be able to hear this ringing bell, because now in this case there is no air, no medium in the glass jar, because all the air has been taken out with the help of the vacuum pump. So it clearly proves that sound needs a medium for propagation. Now we know that what is vibration. Vibration means to and fro motion. It is known as vibration. To and fro motion of any object is known as the vibration. So let's discuss about the three important characteristics of vibrations. If we talk about the three important characteristics of vibrations, so these are amplitude. First is amplitude. Second is frequency. And third is time period. Let's take the example of a musical instrument, let's say sitar or guitar. We know that in sitar or guitar, such type of musical instrument in which there are the strings. Strings means a piece of thin wire which is tightly held between the two, which is tightly fixed between 2 points. So what happens when we pluck that string, that it starts vibrating. It starts vibrating and sound is produced. So now let's try to understand these characteristics of the vibration, taking the example of this string. Okay, for example, this is a string AB. For example, this is a string AB and it is vibrating. Okay, it is vibrating. Let's say, so it is vibrating like this, up and down. It is vibrating like this, to and fro. It is vibrating like this, to and fro. It is vibrating like this, or you can say it is vibrating up and down. Okay, so what I want to say that this string is vibrating. So now let's try to understand these characteristics of the vibration. Amplitude, if I just give them here, if I give the name X, Y. So here amplitude means the maximum displacement of the vibrating object from its central position. This AB, this is the central position, or you can say the mean position of this string. Okay, so you can consider the displacement on any one side, because on both the sides it will be equal. Let me also make it very precise. So on both the sides it is going to be equal. So amplitude means maximum displacement of the vibrating object from its central position. So in this case, let's say this is O. So XO will be the amplitude of the vibration. So the next is frequency. Frequency means the number of vibrations of the vibrating body in 1 second. Okay, so frequency means number of vibrations of the vibrating body in 1 second. For example, if any body, let's say string, if let's say in 1 second it is vibrating 20 times. Okay, so what will be the frequency? It will be 20 hertz, because what is the unit? Here the unit of frequency, this is hertz. It is represented by Hz. So the frequency is hertz. So if let's say this string, it is vibrating 30 times in 1 second. So the frequency will be 30 hertz. If it is vibrating 10 times in 1 second, so the frequency will be 10 hertz. Next is time period. So time period, it is the time taken to complete, it is time taken by the vibrating body to complete one vibration. Okay, so just vibration means to and fro motion. So time taken to complete one vibration, or we can say one oscillation, is known as time period. Okay, so the unit here is second. Here unit is second. There is a very important relation between frequency and time period. If we see the relation between them, frequency, it is represented by this side. You can write here like this, and let's represent it by T. So there is the relation between the time period and frequency is that frequency and time period, they are inversely proportional to each other. Inversely proportional means if the frequency will increase, time period will reduce. If the frequency will be reduced, time period will increase. If this will increase, frequency will increase, time period will reduce. So the frequency and time period, they are inversely proportional to each other. Now after understanding this, the next thing is about the musical instruments. Musical instruments means the instrument which produce musical sounds. So if we talk about the musical instruments, they are of various types. The first type is the wind instrument. First is the wind instrument. Second is stringed instrument. And the third one is percussion instruments, or we can say membrane instruments. And one more type is there that we call plate type instruments. Let's first talk about the wind instruments. So we will notice that in different types of the instruments, there are the different objects that vibrates. Okay, let's start with the stringed instruments because these examples are very familiar. Okay, if we talk about here example like sitar, guitar, veena. Okay, so these are some examples of the stringed instruments. See, very clear from the name. Here the string vibrates. In the stringed instruments, there are the strings that are fixed tightly between the 2 points. String means a very thin piece. String means a piece of a thin wire. So in the stringed instruments, strings, they are fixed tightly between the 2 points. So what happens when the string, it is plucked from the middle? So what happens? The string vibrates and sound is produced. So here what vibrates? Here string vibrates in case of the stringed instruments. Now we have understood what is frequency of the vibration. So here by changing the thickness, length or the tightness of the string, the frequency of the vibration can be changed. Now if we talk about wind instruments, so here examples are flute, shehnai, trumpet, etc. So in case of the wind musical instruments, here the air column vibrates. Blowing air is called wind. So in case of the flute, here you can see in your book, this is flute. We can see here, this is flute. Here we can see the holes. This is a wooden tube-like structure in which there are the holes on the outer surface. So we have to blow air in the flute through our mouth, and then what vibrates inside this hollow tube? The air column vibrates in such type of wind instruments, and that produces sound, because we know that sound is produced by vibrating objects. So here the air column enclosed in this wooden tube that vibrates and sound is produced. The last one is the percussion instruments. If we take the examples, so examples are tabla, dolak, mridangam. So these are the examples of this. So here in this case, what is the meaning? Okay, first let us understand what is the meaning of the percussion instruments. Percussion instruments means the musical instruments that are played by striking them with the hand or with the help of any stick, etc. So here you can see that in case of tabla, okay, we know that it is how here the musical sound it is produced. So here it is beaten with the hand. On this top there is a membrane. In such type of percussion instrument there are the stretched membranes. Okay, so there are the stretched membranes which are beaten with the hands. So when these are beaten with the hands, so these stretched membranes, these vibrates. We are not able to see the vibrations here. If you want to touch the vibration, you just after beating it, just gently touch it with your fingers. So you will be able to feel the vibrations here. So what happens here, in this case of the percussion instruments, here the stretched membrane, it vibrates, and because of which sound is produced. So, and there is one last type of instruments that are called plate type instruments. Plate type instruments, the examples are manjira, that is known as cymbals. So here you can see in your book on page number B37. We can see here these are the manjiras. So what happens in plate type, these musical instruments, here we can see these are the concave type brass plates are there which are struck against each other. So here the sound is produced by the vibration of these plates. So this was all about these musical instruments. Now it is clear that in the different types of the instrument, there are the different parts of the instrument that vibrates, and because of which sound is produced. Now we will see that how sound is produced by human beings.
Now we will study that how sound is produced by human beings. Human beings produce sound by using the voice box, which is also called larynx. So where it is situated, larynx, it is situated in our throat at the top of the windpipe. This is windpipe. So larynx, it is situated, here you can see, it is situated in our throat at the top of the windpipe. Human voice box, it contains two ligaments known as vocal cords. Here these white color structure that you can see, these are the vocal cords. These vocal cords are a kind of string. Sound is produced by the vibration of the vocal cords. The vocal cords, they are attached to the muscles. Which change the stretching in the cords and the distance between the cords. Let's try to understand it with the help of one more figure. I'm talking about this case, the first one. When we are not speaking at that time, muscles of the vocal cord, they are completely relaxed, due to which the vocal cords, they are separated and loose. Here you can see the vocal cords, they are separated and loose so that air from the lungs passes through them without producing any sound. So when we are not talking, the vocal cords, as you can see here, the vocal cords, they are far apart with a lot of gap between them. Next is when we want to speak. This situation, when we want to speak, so the muscles of the vocal cords contract, due to which two vocal cords, they become stretched and close together. You can see here the vocal cords, they are close together, leaving only a narrow slit, means leaving only a narrow opening between them. As you can see here, there is a very narrow opening between them. So the lungs, they pass a current of air between the two vocal cords, which vibrates vocal cords and sound is produced. So when we talk or sing, we actually make our vocal cords vibrate, and the vibration of the vocal cords by the expelled air produce vocal sounds. So I hope now that how sound is produced by human beings, it is clear. Now we will see that how human ear works. Ears are the sense organs which helps us to hearing the sound. So we hear through our ears. Now we will study about the structure and the working of the human ear briefly. Here a simplified diagram of human ear has been shown. The human ear, it has been divided, for simplicity, it has been divided into the three parts. This one, this is the outer ear. This one, it is the middle ear. And this one, the last one, this is the inner ear. Okay, so let's first discuss about the structure. The shape of the outer part of ear, it is like a funnel. The outer part of the ear, this is known as pinna. You can see here the outer part of the ear, it is called pinna, and it is attached to about 2 to 3 centimeters long passage, which is known as auditory canal or ear canal. At the end of the ear canal, a thick elastic or circular membrane, it is a thick elastic and circular membrane called eardrum. At the end of this ear canal, you can see there is a thin elastic and circular membrane called eardrum. It is stretched tightly. So after this, next we'll talk about this middle ear. So here there are three small and delicate bones which are known as, first one, this is called hammer. Second, this is not known as anvil, and the third one, this is stirrup. Let me tell again. This is hammer, this one is anvil, and the last one, this is the stirrup. And this is connected to the inner ear. This is connected, the middle ear, it is connected. The bone stirrup of the middle ear, it is connected to the cochlea of the inner ear. This is the cochlea. So now let's understand about the working of this. So what happens? The sound waves, they are collected by the pinna of the outer part of the ear. These sound waves pass through the ear canal and fall on the eardrum. When the sound waves fall on the eardrum starts vibrating back and forth, and the vibrating eardrum, it causes the small bone hammer to vibrate. And from hammer vibrations, they are passed on to the second bone called anvil, and then from there it is passed on to the third bone, stirrup. Okay, so like this, the sound waves, they are like this, the vibrations from the eardrum are passed to the stirrup, and when the vibration, they are passed from the eardrum to the stirrup, and from there it is passed on to the cochlea in the inner ear. So, and in the cochlea there is liquid inside. In the inner ear there is liquid in the cochlea. So because stirrup, it starts vibrating, because of which the liquid in the cochlea, it also begins to vibrate. And these middle ear bones, when they pass on the vibrations to the inner ear, at that time these vibrations are amplified. So the bones of the middle ear amplify the vibrations, and the amplified vibration, they are passed on to the liquid in the cochlea, where these vibrations, they are converted into the electrical impulses, and here and these electrical impulses, they are carried by the auditory nerve to the brain. Then brain interprets these electrical impulses as sound, and we get the sensation of hearing. So this was all about the structure and working of human ear. I hope it is clear. Thank you. So dear students, this is all for human ear.
So dear students, this is all for today. Remaining topics we will cover in the part 2 video. Thank you.